Well, well, well. One of the burning questions for the Cowboys this year is what is their defense going to look like? A lot of people keep pointing to George Pickens and saying that the Cowboys have no more excuses. Dak Prescott has no more excuses. And it's that kind of talk is the very reason why the Cowboys haven't won a championship in 30 years. The reality is if this team is going to get back to the championship, they're going to have to rebuild their offensive and defensive line. And so the question in this video is going to be, is what is Matt Eberflus's defense going to look like? And will his defense be enough? Let's talk, Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And if you like this video, don't forget at the end to please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live. And if you haven't become a channel member or subscriber yet, please do. We have a lot of great things coming in the future. Now let's talk facts. Matt Eberflus. I have been poring over this Matt Eberflus information, trying to make sense of it all over the last few days, last few hours here, trying to figure out, what is this defense really going to look like? And so when you start looking at some of the stats and things, in the grand scheme of things, Matt Eberflus seemed to have had a better run on defense in Indianapolis than, to me, he did in Chicago. In Chicago, he didn't start calling plays, I think, until week 2 of the 2023 season, and then he called plays up until he got fired, I think around week 13, something like that, with the Chicago Bears. And while he did have some, I think he had some, it was okay in Chicago, even though you can look at these numbers in all kinds of different ways and you can flip them to say he was either good or bad. I think in the grand scheme of things, he's a good defensive coordinator, maybe not a great defensive coordinator, but that could change because I do believe the personnel that he has with the Cowboys may be better than the personnel he had with the Chicago Bears, minus maybe the secondary situation. But I think what the Cowboys have for Matt Eberflus in Dallas looks pretty good, but I do think it is still going to pose some questions because of the way Matt Eberflus likes to run his defenses. So on 105.3 The Fan, they were talking about this a couple of days ago, and they were talking about Matt Eberflus's defense. So I want you to hear that. Then we're going to go to an article, I think, written by Blogging the Boyz, and they're going to give a breakdown of what Matt Eberflus's defenses looks like. But I also want to look at an article that I found on Reddit from somebody talking about Matt Eberflus's defense. And I think all three of these things may give us kind of some insight on maybe what we can expect with Matt Eberflus. And then we're going to come to the conclusion on what is this, are we really excited about how it's going to look? But let's listen to this first thing on 105.3 The Fan. And boy, you would think that Matt Eberflus was a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator when you hear them explain it. Check this out.
To do it.
All right. Now, Corey, I want to start with you here because
I dare you.
Okay. I agree with this. Because you have been really upfront about ideas and questions about this. So I'll start with you. What does the Eberflus defense look like?
Okay.
What do you think it will look like?
I think I think Osa's probably going to have his best season.
Okay.
Because his defense is really reliant on his position. You want somebody that can hold up next to him, like that. You definitely want that. You want somebody to do their job there.
This is what Blogging the Boyz was talking about also, is that thankfully Matt Eberflus's defense, and I don't mean it in a negative connotation, but I just think also Odighizuwa right now is further along in his progress than one Mazi Smith. And so because Matt Eberflus's defenses rely more on the 3 tech than the 1 tech, this could actually be one of the reasons why the Cowboys are not doing what some of our content creators and fans have been talking about, is that the Cowboys need a 1 tech, when Matt Eberflus is saying that, no, I got also Odighizuwa as a 3 tech, and so my defense is going to be fine. So again, this is one of the things, and we're going to elaborate on this more when we get to blogging the boys, but because Oso Digizua, this may be, you know, this defense may be very well. Matt Eberflus' defense may be a lot better, but continue to listen.
I think Micah is going to get a lot of pressure off the edge. I think they're going to give him many opportunities, but I don't think it's going to be blitzing pressure. He's going to be defensive end in a 4-3 type of situation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to talk about this more. I promise y'all I'll get back to the live streaming next week, but I want to talk about this more going forward. Micah Parsons is a great player. Micah Parsons is a great rusher of the quarterback. But in Matt Eberflus' defense, it's a very vanilla 4-3 defense. And he really relies on his front four to not only get pressure on the quarterback, that's not enough. No, to stop the run. Now, if we listen to what Brian Broaddus said, Brian Broaddus brought the pain when he explained that 60% of the runs against the Cowboys were on the edges. So you're talking that if this is going to be the case again, Micah Parsons, I don't care who feelings this hurts, he's a very undersized defensive end. And if you're talking about Micah Parsons playing pure defensive end, if I'm a team playing the Cowboys and I'm going to run the ball, I'm running the ball right at him. He's a great player, but he's undersized at that position. And you notice whenever we play against the really, really good right tackles, Micah struggles. Micah absolutely struggles. And so again, I'd line a tight end up on that side. I'd run right at him. What is he going to do about it? He's a great pursuer of the ball, but at the point of attack, you can beat Micah Parsons running at him. I'm really wondering what the Cowboys are going to do in this area. I'm very concerned. When it comes to rushing the passer, the Cowboys are going to probably be top 5 rushing the passer. But when it comes against the run, and I think that is going to be Matt Eberflus's biggest test, because it seems that no one has been able to stop the run here for years, including Dan Quinn, Mike Zimmer, Dan Quinn, and even further back. It's like we have not been able to stop the run to save our life. And I believe if this team's going to get back to the championship level, they got to stop the run. And this has me very concerned, especially as we're talking about Micah Parsons. I don't think he's a pure defensive end. He's not a pure defensive end. It's not even what he's played in college.
So I think he's going to get a lot of that, and I don't know how much linebacker he's going to play. I do think the fact that they beefed up their linebacking crew, Kenneth Murray is a bigger linebacker, Jack Sanborn's a bigger linebacker. They made them bigger because that's what this defense calls for. And if you're too light there, you're going to get run over like the Cowboys have for the last 3, 4, 7 years.
That's true.
So
linebacker, they really improved. And I think this is really going to help their defense, and I think it's going to help their run defense. This is some of the same stuff they were talking about on Blogging the Boys. We're going to go there in just a moment.
They got beefier in that respect, and that's something Parcells did too. You know, he was running a 3-4 kind of hybrid with Zimmer here, but they did get. He was like, "Look, Datwin."
And I hope they play Micah Parsons even a little bit at the linebacker position also, because Eberflus didn't say he was going to play defensive end all the time. He just said he's going to rush the passer. I think the Cowboys need to line him up sometimes at linebacker, line him up sometimes at defensive end. And, you know, with some of the players they have now, they're even going to be able to keep him fresh and maybe let him rotate in and out from time to time. So the Cowboys are really going to have to be strategic how to use Micah Parsons.
Dexter Coakley, got to give him credit. Like, they're working hard, but and then I think you're going to get tough secondary play.
Okay.
The secondary for the Bears, dude, they were fun to watch last year. If you didn't get a chance, they were fun to watch. And I hope that Diggs is able to get into that mentality and be a tough dude along with it.
Yeah.
Because I think your safety play and your so I think it's going to be a good, strong, stout defense. A lot of.
See, this is where I start to kind of waver from what this guy's talking about. Trayvon Diggs, I mean, we just got to be honest about Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs has been a terrible tackler. Even when he was healthy, this dude was like, his tackling was atrocious. And he even knows it. That's why he's saying what he's saying, that he hopes that he can, he can adjust or acclimate into being. What are you talking about? That's not Trayvon Diggs' game. I'm just telling us what it is. This is one of the reasons why, another reason why I believe this is Trayvon Diggs' last season. Savon Revel Jr., I think he's going to be a much more physical type of cornerback. I think he's going to be Trayvon Diggs' replacement. Deron Bland will probably be our outside guy. I mean, he's going to be outside, inside. I think Kyrie Elam is going to figure into this some kind of way, and he's going to be one of the starting cornerbacks on this team too. If Matt Eberflus and this defense is going to be successful, they're going to have a secondary that can absolutely tackle, because I'm telling you, Trayvon Diggs couldn't do it. And I think the Cowboys need to be looking at the doggone the safety position. We had very poor tackling from our safeties. And this is why I'm wondering if this Matt Eberflus defense is going to be enough for the Cowboys in 2025. I mean, I think he's got some better personnel on the defensive line. Maybe, it may be a wash, or maybe could be a wash at the linebacker position versus Chicago. But y'all tell me, but maybe the Chicago secondary is better than what he's going to be working with right now. Let's continue.
People are saying right now that it's old, it's ancient, it's dinosaur, but I think I saw it last year play pretty well. And all it needs to do, it is bend, don't break, but all it needs to do is make sure that not a lot of points are scored on them, and that they can give the ball back to their offense and let them do their work. That's going to be the key for them.
For me, there's a reason.
See, and this mentality right here. Mike Zimmer had this same type of mentality. Bend, don't break. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think that's championship level defense. Because the problem is, in these bend, don't break defenses, when you start playing good teams, guess what happened? You break. You absolutely break. And when you break, these types of defenses are not built to play from behind. They're not built to play from behind. Reading some of the things I've been reading and hearing some of the things I've been hearing, I mean, this is starting to sound like a little bit, it's like a variation of the Dan Quinn defense. Bend, don't break, rushing the passer, getting turnovers. I've noticed in studying Matt Eberflus's defenses, he gets a lot of turnovers. But those defenses haven't equated into winning championships. And when you think about those types of defenses, that is not the type of defense the Cowboys had in the 90s. And if we even go as far back as just this past season with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Detroit Lions before they got hurt. No, they didn't have bend, don't break defenses. No, they had break your back defenses. Detroit in particular had an absolute dominating defense. Them boys didn't play. If they didn't turn you over, they got your butt off the field. So when we start thinking about this defense thing, this thing with Matt Eberflus, I'm just saying, I'm a little bit concerned.
That a guy like Jack Sanborn comes to the team and is so successful in this scheme is because it's built on effort and intensity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly built upon, okay, we need 4 cornerstone players that are going to be, highest paid at their position, that we know what they are. We're going to have enough guys that know their job well enough to where things are going to look consistent even when you do have to make some substitutions across the defensive line. Whenever a linebacker gets banged up and you need to fill in and you need a Maris Taliafoul to step up in his second year, it's going to look a little bit more consistent. So I think that it's going to be intense. I think you're going to get takeaways too. Whether it's via the interception, the forced fumble, what have you. I think if you were missing the Dan Quinn style a little bit more, not so the finesse aspect of it, but the intensity, playing with your hair on fire and getting takeaways, I think you're going to see a little bit more of that.
Okay.
That's what I just said. This sounds like a variation of Dan Quinn. Now, I think some of these players liked it. The Trayvon Diggs, he played with Quinn. Michael played with Dan Quinn, so he kind of likes that. But those defenses those defenses were not good against the better teams. I'm sorry, but Dan Quinn's defenses were trash against good teams. Dan Quinn's defenses were not good enough against the good teams. Dan Quinn's defenses were not good enough. I'm telling you, when you start talking about playing championship defense, I really believe that you're talking about the kind of defenses that hold teams sometimes during those weeks, you holding teams of 10, 13 points. And your whole, the whole point of you winning is not based on turning over the ball. Because what if the team is very good at protecting the ball, they don't turn it over? What if you get a team that's going to pound the rock on you? They're not going to put the ball in the air a whole lot. What do you do then? I'm telling you, man, just some of the stuff that I'm seeing about this Matt Eberflus defense, I have some concerns. Let's go over here to Blogging the Boys. They kind of did a breakdown of Matt Eberflus' scheme. And so it's talking about Eberflus originally came here to Dallas up under Rob Ryan. I'm sorry, Cowboy fans, but Rob Ryan's defenses, they were those make or break defenses. And you know what happened in those defenses? They broke a lot. They broke. And when they break, it's like the flood waters coming through the dam. They break wide open. Those defenses, and what this is starting to make me think is that this team is going to be dependent again on the arm of one Dak Prescott. Which to me, and don't get me wrong, Dak Prescott to me is a top 5 quarterback, but I think that this team needs to start taking some of this stuff off of Dak Prescott. It says here it is. Let's read some of this. It says, 4 successful seasons running the Colts defense helped Eberflus land the head coaching gig for the Bears. That kicked off a trying tenure that saw plenty of struggles both on and off the field for the team. Eberflus was fired shortly after a Thanksgiving loss to Detroit this past season, a game that saw him opt not to call a timeout in a critical end-of-game moment. It was the first time in the Bears' 104-year history they had fired a coach mid-season. Eberflus finished with a 14-32 record. Not overly concerned because he's not going to be the head coach. But, they're saying don't let this discourage you. Eberflus may not have worked out as a head coach, but his defensive prowess has not disappeared. While Eberflus did not initially call the plays on defense in Chicago, he took over after 2 weeks in the 2023 season. Now, what starts to concern me is they start to go into what I'm calling these obscure type of stats that, to me, I don't really want the obscure stats. All I want to know is this: how good were you against the run? How good were you against the pass? I don't need all this fancy stuff. And he's talking about, his defense, when he called the plays, they flourished that year, 9th in EPA play. I think that's expected points added per play, 13th in success rates and 6th in expected points added to the rush. I don't want to hear those type of stats. What I want to know is, what was your overall ranking? What was your overall ranking? Were you number 1, number 5, number 10 against the run? What were you? And so they're using all this EPA success rate and all this. It's just a bunch of gobbledygook. Most people don't want to. That's for the stat guys. And I'm not hating on the stat guys. Y'all already know that. But I'm just saying, what I want to know is, dang on it, man, what was your ranking? We'll look at that in just a moment. What was your ranking against the run of the pass? And so it says it seems that the coordinators were Eberflus is most suited, but that's what's the method behind this madness. With nearly 6 full season calling plays, Eberflus' scheme is pretty clear by now. And there are some signature tenets of this defensive philosophy called HITS. The acronym: hustle, intensity, takeaway, smart. Sounds like Dan Quinn. Sounds like Dan Quinn. It does. Sounds like Dan Quinn. It says here, hustle and intensity basically go hand in hand. Eberflus uses the same loaf system that Marinelli utilized in Dallas and in other stops, which essentially amounts to tracking often the player as being lazy on a play. Eberflus often points to the final 3 seconds of any given play, taking an acceleration to and through the play. I'm just telling you, this to me doesn't sound like championship level defense. Y'all tell me what you think. Says here, I want to go down. I'm going to put this stuff in the description so you can read it on your own. It says here that Eberflus prefers to keep things simple for his defense and instead put all the emphasis on playing fast and explosive. So again, this is putting a lot of onus on players. It really is. It's saying he doesn't want his players to think too much about what coverage they're supposed to switch to or how to shift their front based on the offensive alignments, but instead to have just one assignment and go complete their task. I'm sorry, these to me are not championship level defenses. These type of defenses, they're going to depend a lot on offensive success. They're going to be very dependent on your defense, on your offense scoring points and a defense playing with a lead. It says here 2 core positions in his defense. It's the first is the 3 technique defensive tackle. That's what the guy was just explaining, which is described as the engine. And people say that Matt Eberflus is the linebacker whisperer. The other one, it's the 3 technique. And so I think we're going to be good there. Also, Digizua says the other spots are crucial. Linebacker spots are the other crucial to the team. Eberflus, unlike Zimmer, uses nickel packages at an extremely high rate. So this is Sanborn and Murray. So I'm a little bit concerned. Here it is. Bend don't break. I just don't think those are championship defenses. I don't think bend don't break defenses are championship defenses. I think you just need defenses that line up and just knock dudes down in the dirt and stop them. And it's just, you just beat teams because you're that much better. And so, again, let me read a couple of things that I got over here on a Reddit thread. It says here Matt Eberflus's defensive rankings when he was a play caller. And here's that EPA thing again. 22, and I find it to be strange. This is the stat they're using when we just want to know, because I think overall, here it is right here. When he was head coach, but someone else called the plays. Let's see, 2022, he was 32nd. 2023, he was 28th. That was week 1. And then 2024, 14 through 28, 14 through 18, 27. But here it is. 2024, weeks 1 through 13, 9th. 2023, weeks 2 through 18, 13th. 2021. I mean, these are these EPA numbers, whatever the case may be. Maybe those are really big, but I don't know. I don't want to hear that stuff. I just want to know simple stuff. How was he against the run? How was he against the pass? And I think that's where the rubber meets the road. And so there is someone that was talking about him, says, problem is with everyone else plays really soft shell. This leads to death by 1,000 cuts, long drives, 7-yard completions if no one is getting home or the quarterback gets the ball out. He's also horrendous on 3rd down, giving up multiple 3rd and 10 pluses in several games. Lots of long drives. That's what I was thinking about. This scheme just doesn't force a ton of negative plays. Lots of holding them to 3, seen as a victory. Again, this is what I kind of figured. It's also predicated on the offense outscoring the other team. You'll get some varying opinions on him, but I'd call him a very mediocre defensive coordinator whose scheme is bare bones enough that if the players make plays and creative turnovers, it looks good. That was the same thing about Dan Quinn's defense. When players got turnover, Dan Quinn's defense looked great. When they started playing from behind, Dan Quinn's defenses looked terrible and they failed. And that's what killed us, especially when you think about the Green Bay game. Couldn't stop the run. So again, here's hoping he's self-aware enough to dump his dumb hits principle after it got clowned on for 3 years over here. I'm telling us, I don't know. I don't know what to tell us on this. I don't know what to tell us on this. I'm starting to wonder about this whole Dan Quinn. I'm starting to wonder about this whole Matt Eberflus defense thing. Is it going to be enough to get this team to where it needs to be? Because I'm telling you, this is the mistake we keep making. We did not do this to Troy Aikman in the 90s. We didn't put everything on the arm of Troy Aikman. We had a very strong offensive line. We could run the ball very well. We had a very strong defensive line. Not just turning over the ball, even though we turned the ball over, but we could stop teams in their tracks. We could stop the run. We could defend the pass. And these types of defenses, death by 1,000 cuts, long drives. And if your front four don't stop the run, That means that they're getting to your linebackers. And your linebackers better be showing enough tackles, because if they're not showing enough tacklers, then those running backs are getting into the secondary. But again, y'all tell me what you think. This is going to be a discussion we're going to be having this coming week, talking about the Dallas Cowboys defense. And will Matt Eberflus's defense be enough? Because see, we keep trying to put this on Dak Prescott. No. What is this defense going to be? Is this defense going to be enough for the Cowboys to advance further than they have in a long time? Y'all tell me what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Until the next time, DC4L, God bless. Let's talk Cowboys. We talk facts. Peace.